Hello and welcome. If you're interested in possibly not having to change where you live, flying across the country to retire and starting a new life, and you're interested in having a life in Pasadena during your retirement years or your what we call our later years, and still enjoying life to the fullest, you want to watch this podcast because we have Katie Brandon with us, who's the executive director of Pasadena Village. And I think that you're going to find the information is really intriguing and exciting for people that want to continue loving life even after you retire. Stay tuned. Katie Brandon from the Pasadena Village, you're with us finally. Welcome.
Thank you, Don. I'm so glad to be here. This is great.
Glad to have you. I know that you probably ask this all the time, but you've heard of the villages in Florida, right?
Yes.
So that's what you're part of, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. So there's some great options for senior living here in Pasadena and in Florida. But we're really working with people who want to stay in their own homes. So maybe the home that they raised their family or have had their career. They want to stay in the community they love.
Yeah.
You know, people love Pasadena, Altadena, La Cañada.
Well, we're going to have a discussion about that because my wife and I have been talking about that too, about, when we get to retirement and where we want to go and some of our thoughts about exactly what you're doing. Before we do that, though, let me talk about you, okay? So Katie has been an executive director of Pasadena Village since December 2020. She has over 15 years of broad experience in fundraising and volunteer management and deep connections in the Pasadena community. Katie works to strengthen community partnerships, increase the visibility of Pasadena Village, and welcome all to engage in this new approach to aging. Prior to leading Pasadena Village, she was the development manager at the Los Angeles Arboretum Foundation and assistant director of the Pasadena Museum of History. Her degree in European Studies and Classical Civilizations from Loyola Marymount University. Oh my gosh, we could spend days talking to you. Okay. So, I just want to summarize what I had an epiphany. My wife and I are talking about, okay, what do we do when we retire? Okay, are we going to go to that little town in the south, where the weather's kind of warm and things are slow, but that's close enough to a hospital and it's got all those amenities and stuff. And it sounds appealing. Do they have a pickleball court nearby, right?
Yes.
It's kind of our requirements. And is it close enough to family, right? And then I was thinking, I moved here from Chicago. She moved here from Tampa. And I really believe that Pasadena is the most wonderful city in the United States. I love this place. There's a reason why we live here. Our friends are here. There's always something to do. This is a great dynamic place, and I live in a home that I could see myself living in, about the size, because we purposely never grew big. We just stayed in a very humble home. Why aren't I retiring here? And I think that's a lot of your clients are the people that are part of this, right? They're kind of doing that. They're saying, how do we make this work in our retirement aging years? So describe that. Could you describe really how that works?
Sure. So our villagers started what's called the Village Movement. They started exploring staying in this community about 13 years ago. And they said, like you, we want to stay here. We love this space. But what happens when we can't change the light bulbs anymore? What happens when we can't drive anymore? And what happens when our resources are running low? If that, depending on how you prepare, that could be a big possibility. So they looked at different models and they decided to join the Village Movement, which has really grown quite a bit since then.
It's a national movement.
It's a
right?
national movement. It started in Beacon Hill, Massachusetts, the first village. And so they actually flew out to Massachusetts to tour the space there and find out how they do things. And they brought that model here to Pasadena, and huge success right from the beginning. People were really enamored with the concept. They love the idea of staying here, not moving out to the desert, not moving in with their kids, right? And just staying in the community that they love with a little extra support. But I think what they found surprising, the founders of Pasadena Village, like Mike Babcock, a lot of people know and loved Mike. We miss him dearly. What they found is people weren't asking for very much help. So most of the people that we work with are active seniors. They're traveling, they're helping raise their kids or grandkids, they're maybe working. And so They didn't ask for a lot of help. And so it's really turned into a lot more of building a community of support so that when you do need help, it's a little easier to ask. So we offer IT help, rides, a little help at home. But honestly, it's really about having good friends to rely on.
Yeah, so there's a huge social component of it. I went on your website and I was really thrilled to see all of the things that you're involved in. And there's events that you're attending. And I think there's like a movie night that's coming up and
That's
stuff.
right.
But it's like, why can't you have that here in Pasadena? Why do you have to go to a retirement community out in the middle of Florida? I mean, I joke about the villages. Seems like they have a lot of fun, but there's also the humidity, and none of my friends are over there. So the people that have chosen to remain here are actually the people that have been in Pasadena maybe all their lives or a long time, right?
Yes, but we've also seen a lot of new villagers join because they've moved here
Okay.
to be closer to their family, but then realized, oh, I don't have that women's church group I had back home. I don't have, the people I used to work with that we, have brunch together. I don't have that community to rely on, and so then they look for community. Maybe they join a church or a synagogue or something else, but that only occupies a few hours a week, maybe. So then they find Pasadena Village, and I'm like, this is what we wanted. One of our villagers just told me, I feel like I found my tribe. And I thought that was just beautiful because it works for her, and we're now at 174 villagers. So you're not going to get to know everybody, but she's found a small group of people that she can have lunch with, that she can call, come over for happy hour, and she's so happy, and her family's happy too because she helps with the grandkids a little bit, but she also has her own fun things that she's doing.
Right. Now, is there like a building or a central place that people meet, or is it something that you meet at people's homes, or how does that work?
So most of our events happen in people's homes or in coffee shops. We're a great supporter of the local coffee community. But we do have a small office where right now they're playing ping pong. And we have some potluck lunches there, guest speakers, things like that. But most things
Where
have
is
been,
that?
it's off of Mountain at the Flint Ridge Center.
Okay. Now, since you're really servicing, if that's a right term, seniors in the community, do you also get access to like the senior center here in Pasadena, or be able to use other people's or other organizations' facilities for things?
Yeah, definitely. Because it is a pretty small space, our office space only holds about 25 people. So we often are bursting at the seams at the village office. We'd like to partner with other groups. Definitely the Pasadena Senior Center, the Altadena Senior Center, a lot of local libraries, recreation centers, faith communities, because they often have space. But we think building community is best between 5 and 10 people. So these small groups are the real key to having real relationships with people.
Okay.
And so if you think 5 to 10 people, that fits in a lot of people's living room.
So,
Or you can
so tell
find
me
a
how you
table at
do
a coffee
that.
shop.
How do you build a community? Because you're kind of the creator of these groups. So how do you do that?
Oh, no, I'm not the
Okay.
creator.
Okay.
Everything at the village is run by people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. They plan all of the events on our calendar. So we just released the next calendar. There are 72 gatherings in 1 month.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say like in this coming year or something,
No.
1 month.
And so you can't do everything. So maybe you're into knitting and a women's support group or a caregiver support group, or maybe you like going hiking or going out to visit different museums. You kind of pick and choose which gatherings you want to attend. And some of them really bond with each other. We have 4 memoir groups, and so they've been meeting a long time, and they really get to know each other and about their families and their feelings and their values. And so that's really where where the bonding happens.
Wow. So we're coming into the age of the baby boomers, occupying a lot of senior space. I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers, but I'm kind of already there. So is it different for people that want to be like young at heart and don't want to be categorized as the person that's sitting in the rocking chair, kind of? So there must be some like young fun things to do, like dancing or pickleball or anything like that.
Yes, definitely. I think we're really fortunate that we don't have the word senior in our name.
Oh, you don't? Good.
Because
Good.
People don't want to be called.
Yeah.
They don't identify as a senior.
What do they call them?
So we call them older adults.
Oh, that's worse. Come on.
I know some people don't like it.
How about respected adults?
Sometimes we just say adults
Okay.
over 60 or something like over 55, things like that. Yeah, there isn't a perfect word for it, but definitely active seniors. So I often like to share about like our hiking group and our walking group, ping pong. A lot of our villagers play pickleball. We don't have a pickleball group yet. I'm sure it's coming because they really just initiate whatever they want to do together. But some of them are a little more into the discussion groups. It just really depends what people are interested in.
Sure. Pasadena's got a wide variety of people, and that includes the folks that participate in this. So speaking of pickleball,
Yes.
we play a lot, and most of our the people we play with are in their 60s and 70s, and I'm going to tell you what, they're darn good at what they do. So
Yeah.
you guys are going to have to start a club or something over there. Wow. So somebody decides that they want to get involved in this. How do they approach it? Do they call somebody, or is there a membership? They have to fill out a membership card, or what?
Yes to all of that. So our community is based on a membership model. So people join as members, but when they first get involved, we invite them to coffee. So we have 2 coffees a month, free and open to the public.
Where?
At the village office. We'd
Okay.
love for you to come.
Well, I'm at that age. I might. I'm not retired yet, but
So
I might.
come join us for coffee.
By the way, do you have to be retired to be part of this?
No,
Okay. 'Cause
no. We do have a lot of members who work different occupations, but one of the challenges we find is most of our programming is on weekdays during the day. So if you have a flexible schedule or can set your hours, then you can get the most out of the village. But if you're really working like during the regular workday, you can do our dinners out and go to our garden group, go to one of our book clubs on the weekend. There's certain things you can do, but I think it'd be hard to fully engage in the village if you couldn't do some things during the regular workday. Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about joining.
Yes. So you come to a coffee, get to know some other villagers, see if you gel, see if it's a good fit for you. We have a membership range based on income. So we try to make it as accessible as possible for people to join. So they join as a household or an individual, and then they start coming to events and things. It's great.
Okay. And you're a nonprofit, so you raise money for this.
We do.
So that's to pay for all the services or the little extras that people get for being members. So let's talk about the things that people get. I mean, you were talking about transportation. That intrigued me.
That's right.
How
So
does
we
that
call
work?
it support. We offer a little extra support, is what we say. So we have volunteer provided rides. So your question earlier was, how do you get involved? And a lot of times people get involved by volunteering with us. So we're looking for more volunteer drivers because there's a big demand for rides. And there's options for rides here in Pasadena if you don't drive or aren't driving right now, temporarily or something like that. But there's not enough to get you door to door from what you want to do. Like, imagine if you had to lose your car keys tomorrow. You probably have to change a lot of your life
Yeah.
to be able to still occupy the space here and get to where you want to go. So the volunteer provided rides are really important in filling one of those gaps. And so we'll give people a ride anywhere, but it is depending on our volunteers' availability.
Vegas?
No, but
Okay, come on,
LAX,
okay.
and then you can get to Vegas. So we get, often it's rides to medical appointments, a friend's house, maybe a village event,
That's
or
nice.
a museum exhibition you want to go to. We have one member who relies on the rides to get to work once a week. So, we really provide that for people. And one of our drivers said, well, is it okay if I ask for a ride because I'm going to have eye surgery? I'm like, yes, that's the whole point. You don't have to say, I'm never going to drive again. Now I can get a ride. Anybody can get a ride. And it's really useful if your car's in the shop or you have a medical issue, something like that. So we offer the rides. And
So the transportation component is all volunteer
Volunteer
in their
provided
private
rides.
cars?
in their private cars,
Okay.
and they're vetted volunteer drivers, background checked. A lot of them are villagers themselves, but there's a lot of community volunteers as well. And like I said, we're looking for more. and then we do get grant funding for what's called Go Grandparent. So it's Uber and Lyft drivers that we call and we pay for through those grant funds. So if we can't find a volunteer driver or it's a last minute request, we try to fill it in a different way. The other kinds of support we offer is IT help. It's been a big
I saw that on the website too. Yeah.
big need.
Yeah.
At the village, we have tech time. We offer one-on-one IT help. We'll send someone to your house to help you figure out your router
Wait a
or
minute, we're
set up
talking
your
about people that are
printer.
trying to relax. Why do they need IT stuff for?
Oh, well, you might want
I'm teasing you.
to
Come
learn
on.
how to start a podcast, right?
Okay, well, okay, all right. This is now called the Villagers podcast, and I'm Don Schweitzer, your elderly statesman.
No,
God,
no.
I would have to open that door for you. Go
All
ahead.
kinds of people need IT help. Just how to better use your iPhone, your smartphone, your iPad, things like that, and then also troubleshooting issues. And then
That's important.
What we do is we offer to the public every couple of months a free IT cafe. Anyone can come in. We've helped people retrieve photos they thought were lost, help restart a laptop they didn't know how to get into, or really technical help with like editing things in Photoshop, like the whole range. And we have really dedicated, patient volunteers who help people with IT.
That is really cool. Now, do the volunteers meet, in gatherings and say, okay, this is our mission? And do you have things like that?
We have different teams of volunteers.
Yeah,
So
I guess
we've
that's what I
talked about
mean, yeah.
transportation team, the tech help team.
Okay.
So we have some people on our tech help team and some who just show up for those quarterly IT cafes. And then we have other teams like our village visitors are really critical. So if someone's a little more isolated, stuck at home, what we call a solo ager, living independently, but isn't getting up and about for whatever reason. They just had knee surgery, or maybe they're caregiving for a spouse and that they want to be around even though they might have help at home, just in case their spouse needs something. So our village visitors goes and brings the village to them, is what we like to say. And so they bring tea or a game or a puzzle or just their conversation, and they have lovely visits in the villager's home, so in an older adult's home. And it's a two-way street. Both people get so much out of the Village Visitor Program.
Cool. So you're part of a network that spans across the country. It sounds like it starts in Beacon Hill, and you've got some Pasadena people, which is not surprising to me, the way that people in this community, learn how to do things, and they're very much into volunteering. But they go over there, they get the concept, they bring it home, they probably change it a little bit in the Pasadena way.
Yes, in the
and stuff.
Pasadena.
Yeah. So, but you're connected, and so this sounds like it's a movement across the nation.
That's right.
And is it kind of keeping people out of people that don't want to be in care homes and stuff like that? They're able to stay home, enjoy their aging, and really be more active. It sounds like to me, and more social, and have the comfort of their homes and be where they want to be.
Yeah, there's about 200 villages throughout the United States. A lot of them are here in California. There's 50 in California.
Wow.
But there's a great network of villages throughout the U.S. And there's actually a study going on right now on trying to measure what we do to keep people at home, to help them be more active in their aging, maybe help them live longer, so that we can really quantify the effect villages have on communities. Because it's not just about improving one person's life, it's making sure that they're here so they can be on the board of another nonprofit, or that they can volunteer at the Huntington, right? Or they can shop and go to the coffee shop here in town and support all these businesses. So you have more clients who stay longer, right?
Right.
And so that's what really, I think this study is so exciting, because we will be able to tell our story better with data to say, if you're part of a village, maybe you live 2 years longer, or
Right.
maybe you, whatever the data is going to end up telling us. But it's just started this summer, so we'll know in 2 years. I mean, we know some things. We know that our members are more independent. We know that they're less reliant on their family. In good ways, you want to rely on family, but they have other systems of support, and they're more connected to the resources that are available. So I think you had Foothill Family on Foothill Unity Center on the podcast earlier.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the great resources that are available.
I was going to ask you.
People
if there's
might
any-
not know about,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
Convalescent Aid Society
Right.
has free medical equipment. If you don't know that, that can make a huge difference in your recovery or in your life. And so we really think one of our strengths is the connections to resources, both member-to-member referrals and what we have at our resource fairs. We have 2 resource fairs a year that are free and open to the public. So we invite everyone to come and learn about how there's pet care for seniors, and there's places to volunteer, and there's opportunities and resources that are available if you're worried about your finances or, your estate plan, right?
That's
connect with
wonderful.
people.
That is really wonderful. I didn't. So I was gonna be shy to ask you if you knew about Foothill Unity Center because I happen to know a lot about that organization. I was sat on the board, and I'd love to connect. What seems to be the obvious need to connect, and it would be something that I think that would be a nice partnership between the two of you, as well as some of the other guests we've had on here. We've had Mobility to Dog and
Yes.
stuff like that. So maybe we'll have a podcast with all these people here together and
I
stuff.
love it. I love
You know, yeah. But I mean, you would be the center of it all, though, because you're kind of like the coordinator. You get people, like you said, you're connecting. You're giving people services. If you don't have it, you know where to go find it for people. It sounds like.
You were talking about making it the Pasadena way.
Yeah.
The village movement, the Pasadena way here in Pasadena. And I find when I talk to other villages and other communities, even in bigger communities than us, like San Francisco or Portland or the village in Chicago, I find here in Pasadena, maybe it's because we're so small, but we're also so big in different ways, we fill a small gap to help older adults, but we have so many resources that are available to us. I mean, we have Pasadena Meals on Wheels, and we have, like I mentioned, Convalescent Aid Society. So our village doesn't have to do those things because we can just connect to other nonprofits that are available in our community. I think we're really fortunate in that case because other villages have to fill other needs that aren't met in their community, where our village can really focus on what we're good at, building community, offering a little bit of support.
Wow. So the people that are they're members of the village in Pasadena, they live throughout the city, or is there a concentrated group of people that live, in a square mile or something?
Well, with Zoom, we don't really have geographic boundaries. we have some villagers who've even moved out of state and stay involved.
Oh, wow.
Because about 20 of our 72 programs are on Zoom. So people will really engage in that way. But most of them are in the Pasadena area. About 55% live in the city of Pasadena. And then we have villagers in La Cañada, Glendale, Eagle Rock, Highland Park, San Gabriel, San Marino, Monrovia, Sierra Madre. So the surrounding area, and they live independently in their own homes.
Do you know how the concept even started? Because it just seems so revolutionary in a way, that we're getting people the quality of life that we want, right? When we get older, for me, I always say, I just want to work because I don't want to sit around my house watching TV all the time. I want to be able to enjoy myself. And so, God willing, that I'm healthy. The quick way to become unhealthy is to do nothing, and stuff, and have no friends and things like that, and lay on my hammock, 24/7. So it sounds to me like it's a very intuitive, natural thing that happened, and you're saying it happened in Beacon Hill.
Beacon Hill, Massachusetts. It was in one geographic location, so I think that made it easier for them to establish because everyone lived within one neighborhood. And so then if you needed a little help at home, it was just walking down the street or the corridor or wherever you were in. It might have been even a big building, I'm not sure. But we here in Pasadena area are a little more spread out.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways we build community too is when you join, based on your zip code, you're invited to a neighborhood group. So the idea is hopefully you will find villagers that are in your own neighborhood. So maybe in Altadena and La Cañada, or in South Pasadena and parts of the south of Pasadena is one neighborhood. Or what we call the Wild West is Glendale, Highland Park, Eagle Rock, and parts of West Pasadena. So then you join that group. If you'd like to come to that one, you can come to coffee with them and get to know them. And that way when you need help or something happens, you have people to call on that are hopefully not too far away.
Yeah, that's nice. So my focus right now is not so much as the help. I'm still a young senior. I joined. I'm not looking for a ride. I could still drive, right? But what I want to do is the social component, which in Pasadena, there's a lot of society and social. That's one of the great things about living here is that you could, I'm part of the chamber. Last night I was at a chamber event, so were you, and that was fun.
It was fun.
Right? And stuff. And so if I become a member and I say, hook me up with a group, right? And do you say, what are you looking for, or what is it that you hope to get out of it, or how does that process start?
So that actually starts even before you join. So at those coffees, a lot of the coffee is having people share what they really love about the village. So whether they love their caregiver support group, or they love going out to dinner, or men's time brunch, or the urban walks on Fridays, they really share about that. And you can see when people who attend those coffees, their eyes kind of light up and go,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
We actually have a villager who just last week said, oh, I love going to lectures. There's all these free lectures in town, right? At Caltech and at the Huntington, all these great. She's like, but I live alone, so I go alone. I've just realized I could bring other villagers with me. And I'm like, yes, of course you should bring other villagers with you. You guys could carpool. Maybe we could have dinner beforehand, And so I think just like helping people think a little differently. Like, you and your wife might do things together, but there might be things you like that your wife doesn't, or vice versa.
Right.
She could go with another group of friends. And I'm sure you both have big circles of friends. But when friends move away or maybe aren't as mobile, or we lose our friends, this is a way to make friends with people who really want to do specific things. So we have groups that take the metro to downtown LA to go to view art shows together.
Oh, awesome.
We get group tickets to LA Opera, Pasadena Philharmonic, and so they all go together, and we help arrange the carpool, or maybe we'll get a bus, or they'll help get you the ride on the metro. And that's really critical because that way you know how to get a senior tap card, you know where to park, you know how to use the metro. And that way, if the metro becomes one of your main sources of transportation in the future, you have a comfort level with it. Or you now know how to use Dial-A-Ride or a Pasadena Transit Access, There's all these options. And so we try to kind of like subtly introduce them to people who, like you, are driving and enjoying life and maybe don't need to rely on them as much, but it's still important to have those modes of public transportation that you know how to use. So when you come to the village, you get a calendar of events, and you kind of pick what you want to try out. And we always suggest just try whatever sounds interesting. Like we have a great ping pong pals.
Oh my God,
it's
sounds like
really
a
fun.
blast.
Thursday afternoons, come and join us. It's really fun.
And that's actually at your office?
That's at the
How do you get any
office.
work done if you got all that ping pong going?
It's so fun. I love it. I listen to them like laugh and cheer each other on, and it's great. But that's not for everybody, right? Not everybody wants to play ping pong, but maybe you really like the discussion groups, and so you want to come to the critical issues ones, and maybe share the article you read recently, and that way people can have it. Or you want to lead a neighborhood walk in your neighborhood. So we have an 8 a.m. walking group on Fridays, and that's a little too early for some people. So now we have a late risers walking group on Tuesdays. So there's really just a lot of opportunities for picking what's of interest to you. And like I said with the spouses, I think that's really critical because some of our villagers just love going out to dinner or having lunch out or things like that. But maybe their spouse either isn't available or doesn't want to do the same thing or doesn't like eating pho, and you do. You can go with a group of villagers together out for whatever you want, and that's really nice. Like our men's time brunch is one of our popular ones. They have brunch at Brookside once a month on Tuesdays. It's really fun. I can go and say hello, but they don't let me stay. And then so now the women wanted to have lunch, so now we have a ladies who lunch. And so there's just different groups that do different things together.
Cool. Well, it was really fun to listen to one of your members at the Villa Gardens.
Oh, yes.
He's a very proud member. I don't remember his
Dick
name.
Myers.
Yeah.
He attends the chamber lunches on my behalf sometimes, and I really appreciate it. He's a vibrant organizer of a lot of our discussion groups, including the 1619 Project discussion group that talks about racism in America. And they have great guest speakers. We have a whole lineup for Black History Month that's coming. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, this has been very informative. So, Katie, thank you so much for enlightening me and hopefully a lot of people in Pasadena about this because, we got these little secrets in the community. You don't know that this greatness is here. And fortunately, we're able to put a spotlight on the Pasadena Village, and hopefully, we're going to get the word out even more. And, people like me might be taking advantage of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. I really appreciate it. It's been fun to talk with you.
Thank you for joining us.